Of workers quiet quitting or even taking part in bare minimum Mondays. Well, now there's a new trend taking off. It's called Act Your Wage, where employees only put in what they feel is the amount of effort they're paid for. But many say putting in less effort will leave many workers behind. Let's bring in Brandon Arnold, National Taxpayers Association Executive Vice President. Brandon, thanks for joining us this afternoon. What about this concept? They all kind of seem like the same thing. You're not paying me enough. You want me to spend my whole life working. Forget about it. What do you say to that?
Yeah, I think it's this lackadaisical approach to working that is fundamentally un-American. We've traditionally had a work ethic in this country where people take pride in their work. They work hard. They try to climb the company ladder to get as much in the way of a salary or wages as they possibly can. And this is really going against this trend. And I don't know what the heck some of these folks are thinking. But, you know, if they want to succeed in life, if they want to succeed in their roles, they have to actually put in the effort, not just show up, clock in and clock out, but roll up your sleeves and get to work. It's a cultural problem. It's a public policy problem. And I really think it's a problem for this country at large.
Yeah, you know, Brandon, it all seemed to start right around the time of the pandemic and then, you know, escalated during the pandemic. People just didn't want to go to work. They wanted to stay home and going back to work was almost too much to ask. So I guess things are slowly getting a little better. But I wanted to take a listen to the CEO of Wayfair. He had a message for his employees. Let's listen to what he has to say. Oh, this is, okay, I'll read this. He said, working long hours, being responsive, blending work and life is not anything to shy away from. There is not a lot of history of laziness being rewarded with success. Well, do you think that's so? Here we go. Finish this. Hard work is an essential ingredient in any recipe for success. I embrace this, and the most successful people I know do as well. Well, what do you think? Is that ringing a bell with anybody in the workforce today?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think the pandemic, it really all began there when we had these lavish benefits, trillions of dollars of benefits, and we divorced these government benefits from the notion that you actually had to work. That was the case with the enhanced unemployment benefits. It was the case with child tax credit and other programs. All of a sudden, we send a message to folks saying, listen, we're going to provide all of these benefits to you, all of this cash, whether you work or you don't. And a lot of people said after the pandemic passed, well, get back to work. But unfortunately, we've seen far too many people sitting out. They're sitting on the sidelines right now. That's why our labor participation rate is far lower than it was before the pandemic. And it's why that some people that have gone back to work are taking this lackadaisical approach where they feel like they don't actually need to put in effort, that somehow their laziness is going to be rewarded. It's a real big problem.
Brandon, post-pandemic, we had this environment where companies needed good workers. They were paying well. They were agreeing to work from home arrangements. Hiring has remained strong, but it's not as strong as it was then. Do you think that companies are getting more leverage here and can tell workers who are working their wage that they can go work their wage somewhere else?
Yeah, I mean, I think people that are employing this strategy ought to be reading those same articles that you are, because that is absolutely the case right now. We have continued to see some job growth, but that's been limited to a few distinct sectors: healthcare, education, travel and leisure. Those have all seen job increases. But outside of those sectors, we've started to see jobs start to fall. And if that continues to happen, and of course we don't want it to, but if that continues to happen, then these employees that employers have been begging to come and work for them, all of a sudden are going to see a lot less power. Their power is going to erode, and this lackadaisical approach that they're taking at their office or place of business is not going to be tolerated. They're going to find themselves out on their behinds, unemployed. That's when they're the lesson that they need to learn. I think in some instances, they're going to have to learn the hard way that if they don't work hard, they're not going to have a job.
Brandon Arnold, thank you so much for your thoughts today on that. We'll see what happens with the workforce ahead. And still ahead for us on Fox News Live, former President Bill Clinton reportedly set to be unmasked this week in court documents related to convicted pedophile Jeffrey Epstein.